I'm Jeff.
Hey everyone, and I'm Shaleia, and we're back for another update on our pregnancy journey. Seems like a lot happens, and so we're just gonna keep y'all updated as we go along. So I guess the last time we spoke, it was like just before March or something. It was like late February, and my HCG levels are continuing to go up. So I went, what do I have here? February 24th, I was at 1500 HCG, and then 4 days later on the 28th, I was at 2500 HCG, and the baby measured at 5 weeks and 1 day on February 28th, and today is like March 5th, I believe, that of this recording. So they also found a yolk sac in the gestational sac, so that's also a positive sign. No heartbeat yet. It was still a little too early at that ultrasound, but we are going to have another ultrasound appointment next week, and hopefully we can hear a heartbeat then. The baby should be measuring at least 6 weeks. So with that being said, I have a new due date, and that is November 19th. I feel like it's November 12th, I think, but November 15th is what they were saying. So that's really cool. We may have a Scorpio baby, we don't know. Could be Sagittarius. So it definitely seems like one of those two signs.
So what happened? We had a baby that miscarried.
Yeah.
And then was back.
Well, I mean, like we were kind of talking in our previous video, like I was diagnosed with a miscarriage, and that is like precisely what I experienced. And I thought, like, there's no way this baby's gonna survive. Like, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, this was like an apocalypse. You don't survive. I guess the strong survive. Anyway, and so, like, I had psychologically and emotionally begun the process of, I let go of that pregnancy, I guess. And I felt like from the very beginning, the tone of my doctors at my IVF clinic were informing me that this was not a viable pregnancy. And so I had already begun equipping myself emotionally and psychologically and spiritually to not have this pregnancy work out this time.
But at the same time, we were still loving
Hope.
it. Yeah.
We were still like, we're gonna, and this is what we always do with any relationship, like we're gonna love it all the way to the very end, until like it's very obvious, like if this is a go or a no. But at least we did our part. And so like we still had faith, even though every conversation with the nurse or the doctor at the IVF clinic was like, this is not gonna work out.
It was brutal. It was not fun.
No, like I have to say, like I'm like a very strong person, and I have been under extreme psychological and spiritual emotional pressure many times, frequently throughout my life. And so I was like this wasn't gonna break me, you know, but it was extremely difficult, and definitely like pushed both of us to like our very edge. And because, you know, you're all the way along, you're prepared because you're being told this is not going to work out, and every phone call was like, this isn't normal. And yeah, did I write what she said? I wrote exactly what the doctor said. Does not add up. Like what happened. And the big part of what didn't add up for the doctor was that I'm like 2 weeks behind gestationally, and they don't understand like how that is, because I should be like 7-8 weeks along. I should be actually 8 weeks right now, but I'm not. And so this is where like the doctors are just completely like confounded.
Well, and because of their confoundedness, if that's a
Yeah,
word, they've been very upset and calling us. Like we were, we had a nice car ride. We were through the countryside, and we were talking about our pregnancy
and our future.
and like having warm feelings. And part of what we teach and what we understand is how important your vibration is and your feelings are to manifest what you desire. And just before the end of that car ride, we got a phone call from our IVF clinic out of the blue, and it was a doctor, one of the doctors calling us, and it was just like a knife of doom and gloom through our hearts.
And telling me the same information that I had already been told like the day previous. So I was like, what is the point of this conversation? Like the nurse told me.
But it was like 10 times more fearful.
But it was 10 times more fearful. Like she was sticking a knife in my back or something. Just the fear coming off of her while we were having our nice country drive and being like cultivating peace and like calm and tranquility in our life. Then we get this frantic, upset doctor call, and I was like I feel that, like you feel that, and it hits you in your chakras and your energetic body, and then you feel that go into your physical body, and it can actually manifest as like symptoms. And I was just like, this is terrible. Like, this is, this feels really bad because I don't feel like I have a real advocate or like a real partner in my birth. Like, this feels like emotional terrorism. And almost every single call was basically like doom and gloom, and
not just from one doctor.
Not just from one
person.
Doctor, but every person, including like almost a lot, significant amount of my ultrasounds. My ultrasounds are not done at the IVF clinic. They're sourced out here where I live, and I know like they're just being an extension of my clinic, and I know that my doctor's office that I go to, like they can feel the energy coming from my clinic, because they all know each other basically, and it was just like really hard because I never got a break from that, on top of the fact that this pregnancy being really abnormal meant that I had to go in for a lot of blood draws and ultrasounds, more than like your normal for IVF, and like that does add up, like being poked with needles, and like having like an ultrasound that it's not like a little belly scan like you see, like it's it's a transvaginal ultrasound, and so like you have to constantly deal with like it's hard. Like there's a price to pay for like going to all those appointments.
And you're supposed to be building up your inner reserves and well-being
right.
in order to carry this baby.
And like especially with like it's common knowledge that in your first trimester, like your pregnancy, it is really vulnerable and sensitive, and like it's not guaranteed. And I'm being stressed out.
Like mega stressed out, and I'm trying to like protect and nurture this life inside of me, and so I felt like under attack. And it was it caused me a lot of emotional distress, and I'm going to get to like a really good point about all of this, like why I'm bringing up my experience, because we did go a non-traditional route. And that was just the way we wanted to do it. I wouldn't say natural is better. Someone told me that, and I thought that's rude. Like, who are you to tell me that? Whatever way is best for you to create your perfect family, that for you, like, that's best for you. And for us, there was a lot of appeal to really getting into the fine details of creating our perfect embryo. We wanted to have that experience and do it that way. It wasn't like we said in other videos, it wasn't because either of us struggled with infertility. It's because
that was a science and technology. We thought, hey, if we can have access to it, why not? And I knew from hearing about celebrities going through IVF, like, and other people, like, it can be very difficult. But I know, like, I have the support of a really good man, and I have the support in my life to be able to go through probably more of a challenging way, I suppose, of bringing a baby into the world. But to me, I'm like, well, I can do this, like, and it's true. Like, I'm doing it, and like, I'm really glad that we did it this way. But what I'm noticing, and I wasn't anticipating, is that the lack of support that we got from our IVF clinic, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. Like, I was definitely going through a lot when I was going through my false miscarriage. You know, like, I was not in like a good place. But I was healing, and I was moving through it, and I was surrendering to the experience, and I was learning what it had to teach me. And then, you know, I let the pregnancy go. And I remember, you know, this was like on a weekend when it was finally starting to like clear up. And I'm like, it's over, it's done. Like, I'm moving on now. I can move on. And we decided that because the experience was so difficult, that we would just try natural. And that is probably the best way for us at this point in our journey. It was not a nice experience what we went through with our clinic, and like, you know, I really just didn't want to have to, like, most times when you have a miscarriage in your first trimester, statistically speaking, you don't even know. And like, for me, I'm like, that's rather compassionate. I'd rather have not known and gone through it and just be like, oh, I got my period this month. Oh, okay, let's just keep trying. You know what I mean? But like, it was just this long, drawn out, brutal, dramatic affair. So with all of that, and then hearing the news, oh, actually, you're pregnant, and we're so confused. And, you know, they took me off my meds. And so, like, I didn't, you know, I wasn't receiving that padded or extra support. But I was like, you know, I had moved on. But then all of a sudden, the shock of like, oh, actually, you're pregnant. And so it was like this, like, really, like, psychologically, like, this really presses on a person.
Well, they weren't saying you're pregnant, be joyous. They're saying you're pregnant, no, but this is horrible because it's definitely a non-viable pregnancy. Definitely
non-viable.
And their tune slowly changed throughout the next two appointments
or so. Yeah, exactly. And then it started changing. Oh, your baby, it appears as a gestational sac, and it's in your uterus, not outside. Glory be, like, but you know, at the same time, you know, and I was like, like, it was just like, you can only like take so much of that, like, as a person, especially like when you're going through pregnancy, and like, this is our first time. It was like, okay, so I finally just had enough. And I came across a really powerful meme from an Instagram account called Built to Birth. And I think it's a midwife or a doula. I think she's a doula, actually. And she also has a YouTube channel. And she said that if you don't take control of your birth, someone else will. And she was referencing, like, when you go into labor and you go to the hospital and you're unprepared, or maybe she meant like a birthing center. Point is like, if you're unprepared, someone is going to step in and step through and like control your birthing experience for you. But I was already experiencing that, like, with the conception of the baby and all of this, like, you know, I thought it would just be really like simple, but apparently, like, they were treating my pregnancy like it was actually their pregnancy and their baby, and I'm like, you know, I think I'm going to transfer doctors to my OBGYN now. And normally, they don't release you to your OBGYN until you're like 6 to 8 weeks pregnant, until they know like, okay, like this is a viable pregnancy. There's nothing more for us to really do unless you have an emergency, unless there's a problem like, you know, like the miscarriage thing that we had, or if you need a refill on your medication prescription. But like, I was like, I told her, I'm like, you know, like this, like you said, like this has not been a normal pregnancy. And like, quite frankly, I'm overwhelmed, like with all the, cause she wanted me to go for another ultrasound appointment, like in a week. And I'm thinking, I only want to go if it's medically necessary. Like at this point, to do blood draws, to do ultrasound, only if it's medically necessary do I want to step into a clinic, because I'm feeling like violated. Like I'm done. I'm emotionally and spiritually, like I'm pushed to my edge, and I'm a very strong person, but like this is starting to become like really like brutally abusive if I choose to remain in this toxic relationship with you. Now, I mean, I didn't say exactly that, but
you had like a breakup call.
It was like a breakup call, and I said, you know, I'm gonna get you to transfer me to my OBGYN. I'm like, I'm not on the medications, like that, you know, and like you said, like this hasn't been a normal pregnancy, and I'm overwhelmed with the amount of like blood draws and ultrasounds that I've been having. And like I was also kind of quietly indicating like, yo, I went through like a miscarriage that was traumatizing, and I've been having to heal from that. And then the shock of like, oh, you're actually pregnant. So like I've been still integrating and processing that. Not so much as like in like the first week where it was like, oh, you're pregnant, but like, you know, like that's quite an experience to endure, and like that's a miracle baby. So the doctor was upset, but she was like, okay, you know, we'll transfer your care, but please let us know, you know, if the pregnancy is viable, like on by week 8 or 10 or something like that, you know. And I was like, yeah, I will, you know. I'm thinking, sure, like you at least deserve that. Like I know that would bring you closure and comfort, and that's the least I can do, but my doctor will, you know, I'm thinking my doctor will tell you, you know. So, you know, I think like that has been a major challenge for us, but a challenge that I'm happy to have gone through. And I think, you know, some people will hear this and be like, oh, you shouldn't have done this then, like, but you can't like shrink away from where you're being guided to, even if where you're guided to, you may have challenges or experience suffering. Like there's a point to that suffering. And really like I felt like I've taken my power back in a place where I didn't realize that I could or needed to claim my power here. And I feel like I have a lot more understanding and I guess like authority over like the whole process of using and engaging in the medical system.
Well, I just want to step in and say, if you don't take control of your pregnancy, someone else will.
And that's it.
Well, and furthermore, if you don't take control of your life, someone else will.
Yep. And that was really critical. So yeah, like I feel like I'm in control. And I remember like when I felt like after like we decided how we were going to approach our relationship moving forward, I was like, I just felt so empowered. Like, yeah, like I got this, you know, like I'm not gonna have anyone like, you know, interfere the way that they have been interfering. And I just feel a lot more empowered. So I guess you know, the other part is now we're moving into our new relationship with our OBGYN. And I have met her, I think 2 or 3 times, and I picked her out for a reason. Like, I felt good about her, I liked her, and I've met her and I've liked her. Like, she seems fine, nice, professional. She too comes from like an Irish Catholic background, and we kind of like joked about that. Like, there was definitely like, we had similarities growing up. And so, I feel like a lot better with her. Like, I'm going to be under her care anyway, like, for God knows how long, like, hopefully a long time. So I feel like now is the right time to have that relationship and to kind of communicate with her. My intention is that I don't have like these doctor appointments or medical appointments unless it's absolutely necessary. I really just want to grow my baby undisturbed with my husband and just have these little check-ins, like, all right, just little check-ins, like normal, to see how the baby's progressing at certain important milestones. So yeah, like, I feel good. Like, I really got what I wanted. I got to engineer my baby's body to make sure that she doesn't have, that she's genetically strong and that she can have the best like footing in life as possible from the very beginning. And also I didn't allow myself to be controlled by the medical industry or by people, really. And now
you didn't let yourself be controlled by their fear.
By their fear.
And the point of breaking up with them was because they made it unequivocally clear that they were going to be upset if they couldn't control.
Right.
Because they were so afraid that this was different and it didn't look the same and etc. But every pregnancy is unique.
If they were cool and calm about it and like not alarmist and like fear mongering, I would have we wouldn't be like having this sort of conversation in the video. It would be a very different tone.
Well, because the doctor called you like on our car ride, and then like you started to feel really sick and bad after that.
Oh, I did.
And like you started getting cramps really bad, like that evening.
Not that evening, no, not
like the next day.
It was not. It was, I don't know, but
it seemed like those two were like directly related. Like,
no, my HCG level didn't go up.
And then they started to
and
let
then
you know.
It started to like and for me, like, I'm obviously a spiritual person, and their intentions and their thoughts about me and the pregnancy, like, they do have spiritual power in the relationship. And because I've let them in as my partner, and they are like children, like, they don't understand that their thoughts have power. And that their words have power and it can impact reality to a degree. So I just feel much better about being around more to do this, to not allow in like unconscious people into our pregnancy.
So we developed healthy boundaries so that we can ensure that we can protect our pregnancy, that we can continue to give ourselves and you and this pregnancy all the love and energy it needs, so that we can be filled up inside and we're not getting leaking our energy to a toxic experience or relationship.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of pregnant women and couples like can go through this, and like not necessarily like the way we did, but like maybe it's like family members that are like giving you annoying unsolicited advice and like trying to control you and your pregnancy and tell you what you should do or what you shouldn't do, or or like your coworkers or like your friends, like like this definitely comes up a lot where like people try to like take control of your pregnancy and and even of your baby. Like, I was reading, I think I came across this post or this article about how like some people will completely disrespect the boundaries of like a mother and a baby, and like a mother-in-law like not giving the newborn baby back to mom because she's just enjoying the baby, but then like the mom's getting like anxious and upset. Like,
like the relationship between like mother and baby is really like sensitive and
sacred,
and it's sacred, and like you should really respect that. And to hold a baby, it is a privilege. And like you should be really sensitive to like the parents, because it is their baby. And that is their relationship first. So anyways, this is like what we've been taking our power back. Like, this baby does not belong to a clinic. This baby belongs to us. And we're we're allowing you the privilege to be in or not. So yeah, I guess the last thing I want to say is talking about our baby, herself. And it seems like things are progressing well on my end. I feel like pregnant. I'm getting like pregnancy symptoms still. And I really just feel like her life within me. And one thing I've noticed spiritually is like I'm becoming more like clairvoyant and clairaudient. And like I can see her communicating to me in my mind's eye and also through feelings, because she's sitting in my sacral chakra right now. And so, she seems to be very curious about, like, kid curious, like, why do you watch that show, and why do you listen to this type of music, and why are you drawn to these palettes of color? And I'm like explaining, I'm like, well, okay, this is probably why,
this internal psychic, conversation that you're having.
Yeah, because these aren't thoughts that normally come to me. These are thoughts that I can feel like there's a direct connection from my heart into like hers and like where she's at.
And you can hear these and differentiate and decipher between these thoughts because you've taken the time to get really clear within yourself, to meditate, to purify your own consciousness, so you know, like, what are my thoughts? What are my normal thoughts? What are my upset thoughts? What is the thought coming from my pet who's hungry and wants a treat?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on this spiritual path like my entire life, and especially like for like 20 years, when I was able to experiment beyond the Roman Catholic Church, I got to really develop my intuitive capabilities and my faculties. And that's been it's been fun for me, because it makes me feel closer to God, and also to know myself. Like, it's really power, like knowledge is power. So also like Grace I've known for like a long time. Like, I've been very connected to this soul for a long time, and she's come to me in dreams and come to me in meditations, and like she'll just come.
She's been a driving factor since the beginning of our relationship.
Oh yeah, and also like that's been a big
to prepare
thing.
For this moment.
Yeah, so I'm very aware of like her thoughts and her feelings and her presence within me, and so she's just very sweet. Like, a lot of it is just her getting to know the environment, her getting to know our relationship with each other, and asking questions about our relationship, which is very, like, it's cool, like no one really asks about our relationship per se, but like she does. And I think that's really sweet, and it comes from like a real place of innocence and truth. And like I love talking to her about it. She has her own thoughts and her own feelings. But she mostly meditates, and like she's pretty like quiet, but then like she has her moments where she's quite active. And usually it's when I'm doing creative work, she gets aroused. She gets aroused by creative work, and also she likes when I start to really move, like if I'm dancing around the house, or if I'm walking or doing yoga. Like, she gets really awakened by like movement. I noticed like she likes that a lot. So yeah, I think yeah, that's pretty much the updates for now.
So the next update we'll do will be later next week after we've had our blood draw and the ultrasound, and hopefully, you know, we should hear a heartbeat at that point.
Hopefully, you know, we may or may not still. It could be a little too early still.
Okay.
But there's a chance.
More,
There's a chance we could. We'll know more, yeah.
So, you know, we're not necessarily like out of the woods yet for this is a certain viable pregnancy. All we've heard so far from the doctors are, well, you're pregnant, not a viable pregnancy, don't understand what's going on.
We don't know if it's viable.
You know, this is probably not viable. This doesn't make any sense.
I know.
But your HCG levels are going up as if you're a healthy pregnant. And oh, look, there's the gestational sac. And oh, look, there's a yolk inside.
Well, no, they still say my HCG levels are not going up as like normal.
But if you look around,
but they're still going up.
HCG levels are not a perfect indicator. You know, every pregnancy is different.
That's what my book says.
It doesn't make any sense. So, like, you know, I just feel like they're shaking their finger at something they don't have the right to shake their finger at necessarily. I'm not a doctor. I don't know everything, but I'm going to keep advocating for the life of this baby.
I agree, yeah. So, thank you guys for following along on our journey. We really appreciate your support in all this, and thank you for watching our previous videos, you know, talking about our pregnancy. It's a really exciting time for us, and like we're really happy to like share it with you and to like reveal like what's happening like spiritually as well behind the scenes, and also to empower you, like if you've been in a similar situation or you are or you might. We hope that you can draw like wisdom and experience through our story.
Yeah, so more to come. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.